Hello everybody, welcome to the table. So today we have a brand new knife. This one comes to us from Tekto, and this right here is their A5 Spry MINI. So this is one of those California legal automatic knives. So California legal autos, these are kind of like a niche within a niche, a very semi-exclusive club of knives that are out there, but a very unique category, kind of fun to collect in. And especially these being OTFs, there's a lot going on here, and there are some competitive options we can talk about, but this is one of the newest ones I've seen for sale. So coming from Tekto, which is a company that does sell autos, they sell folding knives. What do we have here with the A5 Spry MINI? So we'll take a look at that. So what drew me to this knife is, of course, the fact that it's in this category of knife, but they also made some interesting design choices here because they do have a full-size Spry OTF, and they kind of took some of the same design stylings and miniaturized it down into this Spry MINI. So what we have right here is a drop point blade, and what I found kind of nice about purchasing this, they also had this blade shape available in a tanto blade as well as a double-edged dagger blade. Personally, I prefer drop point, so that was really the reason why I purchased it, because drop point is not always an option when it comes to this category of knife with these OTFs. They also have aluminum handles available in green and in black. So this one, the green kind of pops a little bit. You can see these very decorative lines kind of milled into the handle there. Has these nice grooves for your finger when you're holding the knife. And so for those of you not familiar with the California legal category, that basically means that our blade length here is less than 2 inches. So most of these knife blades are going to be like 1.9 inches to stay legal in the state of California. And so what we have here again is going to be a small knife because it's a small blade, but not so tiny that you can't really handle it. There is some thickness to it. There is some weight to it. And this is actually not Tekto's first California legal auto. One of the ones we have on the table right here is the A2 Badger. So this is also a knife from Tekto. Again, the same category of knife. You can see different designs. So the stylization is a bit different, but identical blade length. And so again, what attracted me to this model here is the blade shape difference, the coloration difference, and there is one significant upgrade from the A2 Badger to the A5 Spry MINI, and that's going to be in the blade steel. So taking just a closer look at the blade right here, we can see this blade is an S35 VN blade steel. Has the little American flag emblem on there, which we can chat about in just a second. Whereas our A2 Badger right here, so the Badger, this comes with a D2 steel blade. So of course D2 is going to be a little bit less expensive. So when you come down to final price, there is going to be about a $40 price difference between the Badger and the Spry MINI here. But beyond that, if blade steel doesn't matter or concern you all that much, this is a slightly less expensive option. Weight is also very similar. So let me just pull out the scale really quick right here. So our Badger, which is their earlier model, comes in at 2.2 ounces. So it's not super heavy or anything. I think this one's a little lighter. So our Spry MINI at 2.1 ounces. So really not a major weight difference here. But again, what drew me to the Spry MINI is the fact that we have options when it comes to our blade shapes. So the Badger right here only comes with the tanto option. Nothing necessarily wrong with that, but for me, when it comes to resharpening a knife, in my opinion, the drop point shape is just way simpler, way easier to resharpen when it comes time for that. Tantos, they tend to get a little rounded over. The double-edged dagger style blades, I have a really hard time keeping those edges really even when it comes time to sharpen them. And then they end up looking kind of, kind of crappy after you resharpen them. Whereas a drop point is just a plain curved edge, really simple to touch up when it comes down to it. So the prices of these knives, these are kind of up here. So talking about that, it says right on the box of this knife right here, so Tekto knives, we can see this is designed, tested, and assembled in the USA from imported and local parts. So what does that mean? So you can kind of interpret that how you wish, because I don't have an answer for you. I do see the American flag on the S35VN blade, and S35VN blade steel is an American steel. So whether the blades were made here or made overseas in China, you know, that we just don't know about that. But I've without a doubt, some of the parts probably were made overseas. They get shipped here to the United States, and then I believe they're in Portland, Maine is where they are based. I'm sure that they assemble everything here in the United States and, you know, make sure everything is in good functional condition before sending things out. So it's just one of those little caveats. So you could say assembled in the USA, but is that necessarily the same thing as made in the USA? I don't think they're trying to mislead anybody. It's just for your knowledge. If that matters to you, then just keep that in mind, because a few of these knives on the table are fully made in the US 100%, but there's also going to be a significant price bump when that does occur. So just something to be aware of. So we have the A5 Spry Mini right here. We have the A2 Badger, and a couple of other knives on the table. This one right here comes to us from Hogue, and this is their micro incursion. So a little bit of a smaller handle. So let's set these all out side by side. So we can see the difference in the size of the handle there. And for me, that's kind of what differentiates a lot of these California legal autos, because we have a small blade by default. So how beefy of a handle are we going to get? I would prefer something bigger, something, you know, substantial to hold on to, as opposed to something that's meant to be more of like a keychain knife almost. So the knife on the Hogue, the micro incursion, it's a nice design, very functional, no issues with it, but it's just very thin. There's not a lot to hold on to here. So in comparison, I would prefer the Spry Mini over the Hogue simply for that alone. Just look at the size of the handle on its own. I would prefer a beefier handle, just kind of how it is. And I think that's why some of these other knives are also very popular. So this right here is a Microtech. This is the Exocet. And so these have this nice wide body to hold on to. And while they also market this as a money clip, you know, the wide body, the wide blade, you know, gives you something to hold on to and makes it feel more substantial, because the blade length can only be so long, but the rest of the knife's dimensions are up to the manufacturer to deal with. So let's just put this in here, and you can see these guys side by side as well. And we do have another fatty on the table. So right up here, this is the Axial Dart. So you can kind of see it's a similar width to the Exocet. So right here, OTF action, putting these side by side. Let's just put that down there. And we can kind of see what we're working with in this knife category here. So let's just set everyone on the table. We're going to quickly run out of space. But I do have some other Microtechs that we can compare. And again, the price difference is significant enough that these may not even be, you know, an option for you. Sometimes they're not even available all the time. Like this one right here, this very thin knife. This is the UTX 70. And so this is the smallest edition of the UTX 70. Again, California legal blade. And we can see this one in comparison right there. So when it comes to having a very small, very diminutive handle, this one takes the cake. It's like the size of a pack of gum when it comes down to it. But what I think makes a much better comparison is going to be the Microtech Mini Trudon right here. So again, a little bit wider, very comparable to the Spry. So we can see these two side by side. I'll make some room on the table. But again, these guys are very comparable. Even weight-wise, they feel very similar. So let's go ahead and we'll weigh them out too. And we'll make some room here. So I think that, again, just as a reminder, our Spry Mini, 2.1 ounces, and our Microtech Mini Trudon, 2.2 ounces. So yeah, it's all within the same general ballpark here. So very comparable. Even action is quite comparable. If anything, the spring on this one feels a bit stronger than the one on the Microtech. But we can see, again, just side by side what you are getting here. Again, handles a little bit longer on the Spry, which again, for me, is always preferred. But we have all these different competitive options, again, in this very small category of knife that exists out there. So now if you're telling me, you know, you're crazy, these are all way too expensive, why would you spend so much money on a, you know, essentially a gimmick knife, and I got you, I hear you. So if you do not want to spend all this money on one of these knives, but you like the idea of a small, little OTF, by all means, I have the solution for you right here. So this right here is the Lightning Fireball. So it is an OTF. It is California legal. Beautiful action. Kind of a thick body because it's just a thick metal frame. I don't even think it's aluminum. I think it's like zinc or something. But you can see the thickness difference there. So definitely beefy. Bigger handle. They have different blade shapes on this model as well, but let's put those guys side by side. And so whereas our Spry Mini with its lovely S35 VN blade is going to run you about 180 bucks, our Lightning Fireball right here, this guy is $30, $29.99. So I think you can get these from Grindworks. I think they're an exclusive there. But for that price, I think this is a fun little budget knife to toy around with. For the price, you can pick up a couple. No issues with that. They're fun just to play around with and have hanging around the house. Blade steel is not going to be anything to write home about, but they are cheap, and that is essentially the most important factor for a lot of us, right? They're affordable. You can buy them, and they're available. So check out Grindworks if you are interested in the Lightning Fireballs. If you want to spend a little more, but not quite as much as these more expensive OTFs, I would encourage you to check out Cobra Tech. Cobra Tech has an entire line of California legal autos, aluminum handles, deep carry pocket clips. They are a bit smaller though, so I will tell you that. So you can see side by side right here. The handles are a little bit thinner. The blades are a little bit shorter too. So even though they are sub 2 inches, these are more like 1 3/4 inch blades. So they do definitely go smaller and play on the side of caution here. But Cobra Tech has an excellent line of OTFs catering to the California market. So cool for them. Very nice, springy, tight action. A little bit more than the Lightning Fireball, but not quite up in the hundreds of dollars. So there are lots of options if you're interested in this category. One that I would mention too is the Boker Plus, the USB knife, and I will throw up a picture of that right now because one of the downsides to these small knives is that you tend to lose them. So my USB is floating around somewhere in my home, and I just don't know where. So it's not here on the table for video, but I made a full video on its own back in the day when I first purchased it. It is, I believe, manufactured by Cobra Tech for Boker Plus, and an excellent knife, excellent action at a pretty good bargain price as well. So I'll highly encourage you to check that one out also. But a lot of really cool competitive options here on the table. And in summary, our Tekto comes in, honestly, near the top. The design aspect is very nice. It looks very attractive. There is no fault with the action. It is very springy, very solid feeling. This S35 VN blade came razor sharp out of the package, as I would expect. Deep carry pocket clip. Glass breaker on the end right there. So a lot of really cool, I guess, tactical features on this knife. And if you can't quite afford this, by all means, the A2 Badger is a really good knife too. It is arguably a better grip with these nice wide grooves on the handle. When you feel this in hand with sweaty hands, these grooves really do give you some extra grip. It just depends on what kind of colors you like, what kind of blade steel you prefer. That's really going to be what it comes down to. But this whole category of knife, I find it super fascinating, catering to one state's laws. And I hope one day California's knife laws get thrown into the trash and we see this whole category go bye-bye. But until that day happens, we have some manufacturers willing to step up. So hope you appreciated this video. If you have any questions about what you see here on the table, please do leave a comment below. Hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope everyone out there, go ahead and have a knife day. See you later.